the psychic.
So today's episode, we are going to dive more into Mina and all of her gifts and what was. We'll learn more about it, obviously, as time goes by. But we want to know, what's it like being a psychic?
What's it
It's a
like?
heavy question.
Yeah. I mean, it's just normal to me. So
Right.
the empath stuff sucks. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But other than that, the rest is just, it's normal. I mean, if you took it away from me, I'd feel like I had my senses taken away. So
when did you come out? I guess you could say, as a psychic.
When did I come out?
When did you start telling people about it, or is it?
No, that's fine. That's a fine question. Right. It's probably my 20s when I came fully out, I guess. And it was not received well. My sister, I think, was living with me at the time. Yeah. And, she made me finally feel not crazy, I guess. Because, she had her own gifts as well. But she also enlightened me to the fact of other people. And so I came out to my family. And it did not go over well. I was called many names. And especially crazy. And, I don't think that ever stopped with a few members of my family. Like, even just a few years ago, one of my aunts was still trying to call me schizophrenic. So, but luckily I have so much medical practitioners backing me up, specialists, and they're just like, she's not, just so that you know. But
well, and you're in Mexico too, so I would think that
so scary.
There's a cultural barrier there too.
Well, normally, right. It's really accepted. I mean, shamans are easily talked about and conversation. Most people are open to it, but still, it's depends the family. Can be tricky.
So I think everybody wants to know, do you see dead people?
Since I was born.
What's that like? I mean, so for instance, there's a TV show where people start working with kids to help them rein in those abilities. So what would you say was like?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's probably
way, like, just so you guys know, the Skeptic, Sam, has studied like all kinds of things and knows all kinds of stuff. And you can name famous people to me all the time, and I'm like, who's that? So what did they do? I'm sorry, I don't follow people.
I don't know. And I'm just like, I don't know who that is, and I'm like, oh, okay, because you don't have to. You haven't really had to dive into it, but it's really funny though, because the stuff that I researched is stuff that you just already know. Mm-hmm. So that was the thing that made me go, there's something to this. Yeah. Anyway, but so when you were little and you started seeing dead people, because we all think of like the Sixth Sense, and we think of like a horror film, that's terrifying. What was that like for you, or was it terrifying?
So the very first memory I have was actually we called her the Lady in White, and she was this lady that she had passed away lifetimes ago, and she hung out on our property by Los Angeles. That's the hometown I'm from, in Baja. And, my father had even seen her when he was a kid, but I was infant age. And I distinctly remember something dark coming in first and trying to take me away, and her basically stopping and protecting me. And so she was my first protector. And then since that moment, I always knew, and she hangs out, but since that moment, I knew that they kind of look over me. They watch over me. And growing up, they ended up being my first teachers, was always those who had passed on. So, but so cool. When they warn me, and I think I've said this before, like it's not pretty, it can be really, really gruesome, because they show you how they passed, and some of it's pretty gory, but they're just trying to shock you so that you listen, because they're trying to save your life, because they want you to be okay most of the time. Right. It's
right. And I think that that's a big thing, that people have this misconceived notion that these spirits or things that you see are like the dark, scary things that go bump in the night, and what are they really there for? I think that's really important. Um, so when you start dating somebody, how does that go? That was a question that hit me in the shower the other day. I was like, well, how does she like say, so by the way?
Oh, you mean like telling them I am?
Yeah.
Oh, fine, usually. I mean, sometimes they're jerks about it and they try to test me. My ex-husband actually did, and I'll go ahead and talk about this one. I don't care. So he, he had someone close to him. I'll say it like that. He wanted me to talk to them, and he didn't let me know how they passed away completely. And it was kind of like a test. And I thought it was really jacked up because the way I had experienced it is I actually, I help that soul, right? So I experience it as them to help them find peace. So I basically die, right? And they had a very horrible death. And so I came out of the dream walking experience, and I told them, I was like, this, and this, and this, and they like this, and this is how they died, and why didn't you tell me? And so it was kind of a messed up test. I should have stopped dating him right there. But
right?
Most of the time,
you had to go through basically a horrific death.
Yeah, if there's no trust, then
yeah,
yeah. So I do this thing where when I'm dating people, I actually try to pretend I'm normal, and it's the only time I'm me, like normal, no gifts. Like I don't go, okay, unless a crisis moment. But normally I don't go, okay, so what are you thinking right now? Try to figure out what you're thinking. Try to, the list goes on, whatever. But I like to pretend I'm normal when I'm dating. So it's just about them, whether they accept everything that I do. And I don't even think about, when I was younger and I first came out, I had difficulty with it because, I don't think I was confident in it. And now it doesn't even faze me. I'm like, so this is what I do. This is, it's my job. So
right.
you either believe it or you don't. And sometimes they even come to me for help. So I look inside their body and I'm like, this, and this is going on. And they're like, oh.
Well, it's so interesting because I know when I first met you, I was like, does she know what I'm thinking? Does she know what I'm thinking? Does she know what I'm thinking? Does she know? That was the only thing I thought was like, does she know what I'm thinking? Don't think anything
Really?
weird. And then immediately I was like, I'm going to think something weird. And I was like, I have to stop those. So like,
I didn't know that.
Legit.
Awesome.
That was the only, and sometimes it comes across as me being nervous, but I'm just legit just going, do you know what I'm thinking? Don't think anything weird. And then immediately when you say don't think anything weird, you think something weird.
So when I was in my early, not where I was imagining this conversation going, but when I was in my early 20s-ish, so my sister lived with me, we practiced the telepathy stuff for a bit between us and dove into that. And then I just felt like it was not respectful. And so I kind of let it go and I just let that gift go. And now though, I'm at a time where my goal is not with humans, but with animals, to like hear them, my animals specifically, because, it's other people's animals, it's easier, but my own animals. And it's just so cool to hear their thoughts. And they can be so simple. And so it's just lovely. Again, this is not where I thought this was going. So let me back up a minute. And I'm going to say, so when I was born a medium and clairvoyant and precognitive dreamwalker. Those were my strongest gifts. And then through time, everything else just evolved. So,
and you definitely have uncovered through, your learning with the Chinese herbs and medicine and that sort of stuff. You've definitely found that you do have some medical psychic abilities as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was like 9, I read this book and it was, I can't remember the name of the book. And it was about a witch that could foresee the future and heal with her hands. And so at 9 years old, I read this book And I remember finishing the book and I was like, that's what I'm going to do with my life. That's what I'm going to do. So I kind of decided then.
So do you think people have the ability to have like gifts that maybe they just don't even know that they have?
Yes. I believe we're all born with something. Now, whether we nurture it or don't nurture it. If we nurture it, obviously it's going to be easy to tune into. If we don't nurture it till we're like 40, then it's going to take a little bit to go back to, but it's still possible.
So how would you say somebody could go about nurturing those gifts?
You know my answer. Meditate, eat slow, go back to your spleen in your stomach. Think about, how can I respect my body more? How can I take care of my body? And the more you take care of your body, the more your spirit's going to trust you. So it's kind of like when you're stretching, right? When you do like yin yoga, right? And you do like these we're trying to stretch our tendons. So we're going to stay in the position a lot longer. Well, it's kind of like that. So this is what we're doing. We're stretching our mind and our spirit so that when our body's strong enough, they'll start to trust us.
Well, and it's funny because that sort of advice, I think everybody should just take in on a whole, even if you believe in psychics or not, that, you should totally want to make your body a well-oiled machine so you can trust your gut and hear what's coming, to you.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because I quickly got over the whole, like, she know my thoughts.
That's so funny. I totally didn't know. Was that when we were in a car ride when we first hung out together?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, this feels really weird. Because I remember that moment and I was like, this feels, I had such a blast that night.
But yeah, I just remember I was like, I hope she doesn't know what I'm thinking. I hope she doesn't. What am I thinking? Don't think something weird. Oh my God, I'm thinking something weird. Stop it.
It just felt like you were going really fast. Like your mind was going really fast. That's what it felt like. And I was like, why is she going
That's
so
exactly
fast?
What was happening. So funny.
Oh, I dated a telepath once. Gosh, this is, again, not the conversation where I thought we were going on this. So I dated this telepath once, and he was like my kid in a past life. Anyways, so I dated this guy, and he, we knew each other's gifts and stuff, and he would try to read my mind. And I was stronger than him, so I didn't let him. And right, I think it is too. That's why, privacy. Mm-hmm. And so he would say to me, I can't read your mind. And I was like, well, good. And he was like, it's like cat videos. And I was like, what do you mean cat videos? He's like, every time I try to read your mind, it's like, when you go on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and you see like cat videos, that's what you're sending me. And I was like, crazy. I'm not meaning to send you cat videos, but I'm definitely not letting you in.
In my head, I'm just thinking about cat videos all the time. That's what I would say. So, because it's like, you and I have talked about that where being a psychic, sometimes you're rather blunt.
Yeah.
What you say. And, have you had to work on that? Like, have you had to find a better way to go about saying things? Or is it, because you're very good at making people feel good. You're very good at healing people, but it's like at the same time, you're also blunt. So it's like, have you had to really dive into practicing the way you speak about to people about your readings?
I guess I dive into the feeling more so. So if I'm in a reading or in person with a patient and I know I have to tell them this truth, I kind of feel and let their spirit, Shen, soul, guide me as the way to say it. Because in the end, the best way to do it is through love. And I'm always doing it through love. Like, it's my weakness. Like, I have this incredible love for everyone. And unconditional love heals all, right? So I just try to let love and their spirit guide me is the best way to say it. But right. I am always very honest.
Well, something that I always like saying, because there are times where I've watched you work on other people, or I've been in the other room, or, I remember there was one time you were doing a clinic, and the person that was leading, it was like a yoga slash acupuncture clinic, and the person that was doing it said to everybody else, so Mina is really good at what she does, but she may make you cry. The first time. And I was like, what? So you cry? I was like, what are you doing to these people? But
yeah. Like at least 80% of the first session with me, when it's at least acupuncture, when we're face to face, right? Mm-hmm. We really dive deep. And it just happens. I mean, it's not pain or anything. It's kind of like a healing cry. So
yeah, and that's really what I've noticed, is that it's more of a healing, almost like a relief.
Yeah.
That they've been walking around with this pain that they don't even know is there, or they know is there and they're trying to hide it. And you take one look at them and go, this such and such thing happened to you when you were a kid, and they've never told anybody before, and they're like, oh,
that happens a lot.
It's a lot
with me.
Well, and it's like, but the thing is you don't come in from an angry or scaring them place. It's just more of a sense of, I see you.
Yeah.
I hear you, and my heart's there with you. And, this is what your soul has said. And if you can tap into somebody's soul, forget it. You're going to cry. But I mean, the latest thing for me is just when I see pictures of you with certain people. There was one picture. I laughed because I'm an asshole, but there was a picture with you, like you were doing a group meditation or talk or something, and you were just kind of going through this group of people, and there's a picture of you where it's like everybody around you is crying and holding your hand, and you're standing over them, and I was like, all right, Jesus. All right, Jesus, Lord have mercy. But in my head, I was going, I totally know what that is. I mean, and it's totally normal. It's totally okay. But at the same time, I was like, just my friend's doing it again.
Just so you guys know, if at any moment I ever had a moment where ego would try to make its way, this is why I got Sam.
Right? If you ever have moments where you're like, yeah, I'm the hot shit, I'll be like, all right, Jesus, whatever you say.
Which I don't, because I've been around, healers that are just mind blowing. Like, I've been honored to have a few teachers in my life, some secretive, some, some public about it. And it's great. Like, just being around those kind of people. And it's just like, I feel like, I always say this analogy that I feel like one pea and they're like a can of peas. So, and then when you meditate and you actually are in the presence of, like, I'll say the word heaven, divinity, enlightened beings, or whatever you want. We'll go into that later. You feel so small. It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's so humbling. I mean, how can you have ego after that? Anyway.
Well, the funny thing is that now I know you on a personal level, and I know, we're all human is basically where I'm going to get down to.
Absolutely.
With that. You swear like a sailor, you fall and do dumb stuff. And I mean, we all do that. And that's the thing that I love. That's where we became friends, more in the sense of just, psychics are normal people. They just have this moment where they can kind of tune into something, or they see something a little bit differently. And I think that that's really, it's great. And it's super interesting. And I was like, because one day I told, my best friend's a psychic. And somebody was like, what's that like? And I was like, it's pretty much the same as having a regular best friend. Just, at moments you can have a dream and send them a text message, and they'll tell you that people are talking shit about you. Only to find out that it was about them.
Or they'll do a reading for you and tell you what's really going on.
Yeah. But it's like, give it to me straight. That's how you do it in regular life. But
Right.
I forget sometimes when I see pictures or I see people's reaction to you. I forget sometimes that, you know, you have these gifts and how
'Cause
much
we're real
light
with each
and
other.
happiness.
And I love that.
Yeah, we kind of balance each other out. But it's always great to see, and, you know.
Right.
I
Okay.
don't.
So more right. This was supposed to be about me talking the things, right? I've been doing tarot card readings since I was. It's okay. Like
Yeah.
this is what we do. I've been doing tarot card readings since I was like 11. I learned dream walking, you know, from my grandmother. Blessed. My other grandmother was a medium, and a clairaudient, and I believe also a little telepath. And when she passed on, she came to me in my dreams and like passed the energy. It was like when I was about 3 or 4. And I didn't have a human teacher till I was, I don't know, late 20s. I
Yeah.
mean, like, wait, I didn't say that right. An alive human teacher till I was in my late 20s. So all the rest were other beings.
Yeah.
And
Did you ever go to church or have any religion or anything like that?
I did. I was so I was baptized when I was an infant, but my family wasn't really religious. So then, when I was about going on my 4th birthday, my mom and dad had separated, and we were living in Georgia, and we had a traumatic experience for me watching my babysitter, who I looked up to, who was African American. We were walking in a national park, my mom, me, and him, and he was walking like 30 paces behind us. And my mom says, you know, come on, catch up, boo. And he's like, no, I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't want to get shot. And I remember I was like 3, I was turning 4. And I was so like, what the hell is wrong with anyone? How could you hate him? You know, like, I never saw those things. So we go to a restaurant in another part of town later that night. I crawl under the table. And again, my family never really talked about God or anything like that. And I crawl under the table and I look up, and I remember exactly where I was looking up. And I said to him, I was like, I want to help heal the world through love and get rid of hate, because I didn't understand racism as a kid. So to me, it was just hate. And so I think my connection started there. And later on, when I was about 1st grade, I went to a Baptist school for 6 years. It was not nice. Some horrible things happened there too. And then I was doing, you know, I went through communion and confirmation and stuff like that through Catholic. And it wasn't till I got my license, somewhere around there, I started actually just diving in, because I could feel the connection and I couldn't understand it. And I could feel the connection to everything. And so I dived in and I did sunrise mass every morning. I did, you know, the welcome committee for mass. I did all kinds of stuff. And then I finished my bachelor's degree. I was still living with my mom, because I realized it was actually my priest was like one of my best friends. And he was like so cool, you know, like I could open up to, he was like my therapist in a sense, you know, like he was so cool. I could open up to him. He was my homie, you know. And then when I moved for my master's in chemistry, I didn't get that same thing. And so that's when I actually started diving into a whole bunch of different religions and opening myself up to everything. And it's just, my gifts opened even more. So now I think I'm more spiritual, and I follow or connect, I will say, to 8 different religions, if we want to use the word religion. But yeah, I don't know if I answered the question.
No, that was great, because I realized that we were just talking more on a smaller scale. But do you see? So there's something called elementals, and this is something that elementals being like beings such as uh, like fairies,
Oh,
gnomes, fun
sure.
mythical creatures that people, have told about in folklore. What are some things that people would be really surprised about that are actually out there that nobody really knows about?
Okay, I'll give you this one. I'll leave it with this. And I think this will have to be like something we go into in another time.
Yeah.
All the other stuff.
Like,
Okay,
what is real? What is real that you can tangibly say, yes, these things are real?
I'll say this one. Okay, so I'm here in this room, and there is also another room that is in this room. It's another dimension, but it's in this. It's a different plane in the same place. So in this room, I have a painting behind me, but in the other plane, there isn't this painting. It's something else. Um, there isn't a ceiling with nothing on top of it. There are like wind chimes everywhere. I'm just giving you an example, right? And so it's the same thing here with us. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. So you could say, no, I'm going to leave it at that. Ask any question.
Are there angels?
Yes.
Uh, how do you
And for,
know if you've been maybe like touched by an angel or blessed or guarded? Or are there moments where you can go, ooh, something good just happened or something just passed me, even if you're just somebody like myself? Where are there instances that you can go, I don't know, like, did an angel just go by me, or did something just?
okay, we should totally have an angel talk.
Yes, we
So,
should, because I'm
and
fascinated.
for anybody out there, if you want to put in the comments like questions of what you want us to talk about also, or questions about,
Yeah,
if you just want to ask me, then we can do a talk about that too.
yeah.
So yes, I believe that there are guardian angels, and then there are some people have even some extra. Um, yeah, I'll just leave it like that.
Extra.
I think
A
I
little
think we
extra.
I think this can go on forever. So we're gonna
I know.
let's leave
So,
it.
but I think we get a little bit more of an insight into all of the things that you can see, and maybe a little bit more of like, what's it like to be a psychic? Because I think a lot of people are like, what's it like to be a psychic? What, you're the same but slightly different because you can do these things. And I think that that's really amazing and
And for me, it's
interesting.
just like breathing or how you see, or when you put your glasses on or something. It's just the same.
Yeah.
I just don't like hanging out in big parties.
Yeah, I can
Don't invite
imagine.
me to your wedding, please.
Well, we know that's not happening for at least 5 years.
I didn't mean you. Anybody else?
Oh.
I would be at your wedding. I might hate it, but I would be there.
You're
I'll
like,
marry
you got 20 minutes. Cram it all in right now. Okay, let's do this. I got a 20-minute cutoff, and then I'm going to have to go and turn into a pumpkin. So funny.
All right, everybody, write your comments.
So we're in the middle of getting a website put up, and if you find that you would like to reach Mina on for any, what are you open to being reached for? Because I don't want to offer up something where you're like, I don't have time for this. Why don't you just do that?
Readings, healing meditations. I do group healing meditations. So if it's a financial thing, there's group opportunities, and you can still get to experience a little bit. And then of course all my traditional Chinese medicine stuff. So I love herbs, and do a little acupuncture too.
Mina's been really great at doing herbs for, especially with Chinese medicine, and helping people feel a little bit better in their body, and breaking down. She's very quick at going, I think you need to work on this, even just by hearing somebody's voice. For me, it's the liver. We'll get into that on another topic another day.
And thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sam. Love you.
Love you too.